In the annals of history, certain individuals rise above the ordinary, touched by a power beyond human comprehension. They are the seers, the prophets, the conduits of divine revelation. John the Revelator, a man of profound spiritual depth, stands as a testament to this extraordinary lineage.
A Hebrew Israelite, my aged countenance bore the weight of wisdom and the echoes of ancient prophecies. My eyes, deep-set and piercing, held a glint of otherworldly knowledge, reflecting a lifetime spent in communion with the divine. My woolly hair, as white as driven snow, framed a face etched with the passage of time and the burden of my sacred calling.
John's beard, long and flowing like the waters of the Jordan River, where he once baptized the repentant, seemed to whisper secrets carried on the wind. His voice, when he spoke, resonated with the authority of the prophets of old, commanding attention and inspiring both awe and trepidation. This was a man who had walked with God, who had heard the whispers of angels and felt the searing heat of divine inspiration.
I, John the Revelator, chosen by destiny, was about to receive a vision, a glimpse into the tumultuous events that would mark the end of an era and the dawn of a new age.
His heart pounded in his chest, a drumbeat echoing the impending revelation. The air crackled with anticipation, charged with unseen energy. The very fabric of reality seemed to tremble on the precipice of something momentous. The weight of countless souls, both the righteous and the wicked, pressed upon him, their fates hanging in the balance.
I braced myself, drawing strength from the unshakable faith that had sustained me through a lifetime of trials and tribulations. I was ready to receive the divine decree, to witness the unfolding of God's plan, even as it promised to shake the foundations of heaven and earth. My purpose was clear: to serve as a vessel, a conduit for the Almighty's message to a world teetering on the brink of chaos.
As the heavens roiled and the earth trembled beneath his feet, John the Revelator prepared to become the harbinger of the apocalypse. His vision, vivid and terrifying, would become a beacon, a warning, and ultimately a testament to the enduring power of faith in the face of unimaginable darkness. The stage upon which this divine drama was set was as vast and unforgiving as the message itself. John found himself transported to a desolate shore, the sand beneath his feet cold and unforgiving. The once familiar world had transformed into an alien landscape, a testament to the raw, untamed power that thrummed beneath the surface.
The sky above churned, a maelstrom of dark clouds that blotted out the sun, casting an eerie pall over the scene. The air, heavy with the scent of salt, and an undercurrent of something acrid and unsettling, pressed down upon me like a physical weight.
The sea, normally a symbol of life and abundance, now churned with a malevolent energy, its waves crashing against the shore with the fury of a beast. In the distance, barely visible through the gloom, a city stood on the horizon, its silhouette jagged and imposing against the tempestuous sky. This was no ordinary metropolis. It was a den of iniquity, a place where wickedness festered and the very air throbbed with the pulse of corruption.
It was here, in this crucible of despair, that the fate of humanity would be decided. The forces of good and evil, long locked in a cosmic struggle, were poised for a final cataclysmic confrontation. The very ground beneath my feet seemed to vibrate with the tension, as if the earth itself held its breath, bracing for the inevitable clash.
The wind howled, a mournful cry that echoed the despair that had seeped into the very soul of the world. It whipped at John's robes, tugging at him as if trying to drag him down into the abyss of despair that threatened to consume all hope.
But I stood firm, my gaze fixed on the horizon, my spirit anchored to a faith that transcended even the darkest of prophecies. I was ready to witness the terrible beauty of the end, to bear witness to the unyielding judgment of a God whose love for his creation was matched only by his unwavering commitment to righteousness.
For this was not just the end of an age, but the beginning of something new, something born out of the ashes of a world consumed by its own darkness. And John the Revelator, humble servant of the Most High, stood ready to chronicle it all, his words a testament to the enduring power of hope in the face of annihilation. He was a beacon in the storm, a solitary figure standing against the encroaching darkness, his faith an unyielding flame in the heart of the approaching apocalypse. The sea roared. Waves crashed against the shore with a violence that made John's bones tremble. The wind whipped around him, a symphony of chaos that heralded the approaching storm. Then, from the churning depths, a shape began to emerge. It rose slowly at first, like a leviathan of old stirring from its slumber.
I watched, transfixed, as the monstrous form broke free of the water, its scales shimmering with an unnatural light. This was no ordinary creature. This was a nightmare given form, a grotesque mockery of God's creation.
It had 7 heads, each one hideous and contorted, bearing a crown that spoke of usurped power. 10 horns, sharp as swords, sprouted from its heads, a testament to its terrifying might. And upon each of its heads, etched in letters that seemed to burn with an unholy fire, was a name that made John's blood run cold. It was a name that defied the heavens, a blasphemous title that dared to challenge the very authority of the Almighty. The beast was a tapestry of terror, its body a horrifying fusion of predator and abomination. It resembled a leopard, its sleek form hinting at a speed and agility that belied its size. But its feet were those of a bear, massive and powerful, capable of crushing a man with a single blow, and its mouth, oh that mouth, was the maw of a lion, filled with rows of teeth that glinted like shards of obsidian in the fading light.
From its throat issued a sound that chilled me to the core, a guttural roar that shook the very foundations of the world.
John stumbled backward, his hand instinctively reaching for the worn leather strap of his satchel. He clutched the holy scriptures within, drawing strength from their familiar weight. This was the beast of Revelation, the embodiment of evil foretold by the prophets of old. Its very presence heralded the end of days, the arrival of a darkness that threatened to consume all creation.
Fear threatened to overwhelm me, but I fought back, clinging to my faith with the tenacity of a drowning man clinging to a piece of driftwood. This was the moment I'd been chosen for, the reason for my visions and my warnings. I would not falter, I would not turn away. I would stand as a witness, a testament to the unwavering power of faith, even in the face of ultimate evil. I would watch, and I would remember, and I would share the terrible truth of what I had seen with any who would listen.
As John watched in horrified fascination, a thick plume of smoke erupted from the churning sea behind the beast. From its depths emerged another monstrous figure, a serpent of unimaginable size, its scales gleaming like polished rubies. This was the dragon, the ancient enemy, the deceiver of nations, Satan himself. The beast from the sea bowed low before the dragon, its many heads scraping the sand in subservience. John watched as the dragon extended a clawed hand, its touch leaving a trail of fire upon the beast's head. Power, raw and corrupting, flowed from the dragon into the beast, filling it with unholy might. It was a pact forged in the darkest depths of hell, a transfer of authority that would have lasting repercussions for all mankind. The beast, empowered by the dragon, rose to its full height, its roar echoing across the desolate landscape. A hush fell over the world, as if even the wind itself held its breath in fear. And then the beast spoke.
Speaks power and dominion, a new world order where the wicked will reign and the righteous will be trampled underfoot. Pleasure and prosperity in exchange for obedience, the denial of the one true God.
John listened, his heart heavy with dread as the beast's words spread across the land like a plague, infecting the hearts and minds of men. He knew that many would be seduced by the beast's promises, blinded by their own desires and lured into a false sense of security.
But I also knew the truth. The beast's promises were hollow, its words a web of lies designed to ensnare the souls of the unwary. For 42 long months the beast would hold sway, its reign of terror a testament to the depths of human folly.
But John held fast to the knowledge that this darkness too would pass. For even in the darkest of nights, the promise of dawn remained. And somewhere, in the heart of God's creation, a force for good was gathering strength, preparing to confront this embodiment of evil. The beast's power spread like wildfire, consuming all in its path. People flocked to its banner, seduced by its promises of power and prosperity. They built statues in its image, offered sacrifices to its might, and pledged their very souls to its dominion.
John watched in despair as the world he knew crumbled around him, consumed by the flames of apostasy. But even as the darkness threatened to engulf him, a spark of hope flickered within his soul.
John heard a voice, soft yet insistent, whispering words of comfort and encouragement. It was the voice of God, a beacon of light in the encroaching darkness.
"Do not despair," the voice whispered, "for my love endures forever. The faithful will not be forsaken."
John clung to those words like a lifeline, drawing strength from the unwavering assurance of God's promise. He knew that the path ahead would be fraught with peril. The beast's wrath would be swift and terrible, visited upon all who dared to defy its rule.
But John also knew that the faithful would not face this darkness alone. God would be with them, his spirit a shield against the storm, his love an unquenchable flame in the face of despair.
And so John raised his voice in defiance, his words echoing across the desolate landscape.
"Listen!" he cried, his voice filled with the urgency of a man possessed by divine purpose. "Hear the words of prophecy. He who chooses captivity will be taken captive. He who lives by the sword will die by the sword. But those who endure, who remain steadfast in their faith, will inherit the promises of God."
John's words, a clarion call to action, cut through the fog of fear and despair that had settled over the land. He spoke of patience and faith, of the unwavering belief that even in the darkest of times, God's love would prevail. He reminded the faithful that their suffering was not in vain, that their endurance would be rewarded in God's time.
He became a beacon of hope, a symbol of resistance against the tyranny of the beast. His words, imbued with the power of the Holy Spirit, spread far and wide, carried on the wind to the ears of those who still clung to their faith.
And in the hearts of the righteous, a flicker of defiance ignited, a spark of hope that even the beast's reign of terror could not extinguish. The ground beneath John's feet began to tremble. A low rumble, like the growl of a slumbering giant, echoed across the desolate landscape. The very air grew heavy, thick with a palpable sense of dread. John watched, his heart pounding in his chest, as a fissure snaked its way across the parched earth. The crack widened, splitting the ground asunder, until it gaped open, revealing a chasm of impenetrable darkness.
And from that abyss, as if birthed from the bowels of hell itself, rose another beast. Unlike the first, this creature did not erupt from the sea in a display of raw power. It emerged slowly, deliberately, as if disdaining to rush its entrance onto the world's stage.
This beast was different. A grotesque parody of gentleness, its two horns like those of a lamb, a deceptive symbol of innocence. But John saw through the disguise. He saw the truth lurking beneath the surface, the malevolent intelligence burning in the beast's eyes.
For its voice, when it spoke, betrayed its true nature. It was the hiss of the serpent, the insidious whisper of the dragon, echoing through the creature's throat. This second beast, John knew, was no less dangerous than the first. In some ways, it was even more insidious.
For it possessed a cunning, a capacity for deception that the first beast lacked. It would be the voice of the dragon, whispering lies into the ears of men, twisting their hearts and turning them against their creator. The ground shuddered once more as the beast from the earth settled into its newfound dominion. Its arrival heralded a new wave of darkness, a deeper layer of deception that threatened to consume even the most devout.
John watched, his spirit heavy with foreboding, as the two beasts stood side by side, a terrifying tableau of power and corruption.
The beast from the earth, a master manipulator, promised peace and prosperity to those who bowed before the first beast. It performed signs and wonders, filling hearts with awe.
John watched in dismay as the beast called down fire from heaven, each bolt a testament to its unholy power.
The beast's promises and supernatural displays offered a seductive alternative.
Could this be the power of God? They wondered. John knew the truth. These were deceptions from hell.
The beast's lies were subtle, playing on fears and insecurities, promising safety in a chaotic world.
The beast unveiled its most insidious scheme, a mark of allegiance.
John watched in horror as people lined up for this mark, convinced it was a small price for peace.
John cried out against this abomination, pleading for the people to resist the beast's lies.
The mark was a grotesque symbol, 666, a declaration of their servitude.
John knew this mark was a spiritual contagion corrupting their souls.
The hour of judgment was fast approaching, and the consequences of the world's choices would soon be upon them. Despair threatened to consume John, but a glimmer of hope pierced through the gloom.
John felt an unseen force lifting him towards a place of peace.
He found himself on a verdant hillside, Mount Zion, a sanctuary untouched by darkness.
As John ascended, the cacophony of the world faded, replaced by profound silence.
A multitude in white robes stood before a throne of dazzling brilliance, the redeemed of the earth.
Amidst the redeemed, John felt a glimmer of hope rekindled in his heart.
The 144,000 stood before the throne, their voices united in a song of praise.
Their song resonated with the essence of creation, a chorus of souls rejoicing.
John watched, captivated, as they moved with grace, their voices perfectly harmonized.
As the song swelled, John felt the ground vibrating beneath his feet.
This song was a declaration of war, a defiant anthem of hope in the face of darkness. It was a testament to the enduring power of faith, a reminder that God's light could never be extinguished. The song faded, leaving a profound silence. John felt a shift in the atmosphere.
The first angel, wings a blur, landed gracefully, holding a scroll with words of fire.
Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment has come. Worship him who made heaven and earth.
The second angel cried, "Babylon is fallen. That great city is no more."
Babylon, the symbol of worldly power and corruption, had fallen. It was a sign that God's judgment was at hand, that the reign of evil would not stand. The third angel descended, its voice laced with sorrow, carrying a golden censer.
"If anyone worships the beast and receives his mark, he shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God.
John's blood ran cold as he listened to the angel's pronouncements.
He shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and the Lamb."
The angel cast the censer to the earth. A chasm opened, spewing fire and brimstone. Even in judgment, there was a plea for repentance, a chance to turn back to the light. As the echoes of the third angel's pronouncements faded, A profound silence descended.
A new sound reached John's ears, a voice of comfort and solace.
"Write this," the voice commanded. "Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on."
John wrote, feeling a sense of peace descend upon him.
The voice continued, "Blessed are they, for they shall rest from their labours, and their works follow them. Even in death, the faithful would find peace, their struggles replaced by the eternal embrace of their Creator."
John looked up, seeing a figure of majesty in the celestial realm.
It was the Son of Man, his eyes like flames of fire, holding a sharp sickle.
The Son of Man descended upon a cloud, his gaze fixed upon the earth.
"Thrust in your sickle and reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe."
The time for mercy was drawing to a close. The Son of Man had come to gather the righteous into his eternal kingdom. The Son of Man swung his sickle, transforming the earth below.
The wicked were cut down, but the righteous stood tall, bathed in light.
Another angel emerged, bearing a sharp sickle and a golden censer.
"Thrust in your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe."
The angel lifted his sickle, a sense of dreadful anticipation gripping John's heart. This was the reaping of the grapes of wrath, the final judgment upon humanity. The angel swung his sickle, and the earth groaned in response. The grapes of the vine, heavy with the weight of sin and corruption, were gathered and cast into a great winepress, its surface stained a horrifying crimson.
The winepress, located outside the city, became a symbol of God's righteous judgment, a stark reminder that the wages of sin are death.
The air grew thick with the metallic scent of blood, a stench so overpowering that it made my stomach churn. The winepress overflowed, the blood flowing out like a river, a gruesome testament to the consequences of rejecting God's love.
John watched in horrified fascination as the blood flowed from the winepress, a crimson tide that spread across the land for a distance of 1,600 furlongs.
It was a sea of blood, a horrifying spectacle that spoke volumes about the depth of human depravity and the unyielding nature of God's judgment. And as the last of the wicked were cast into the winepress, a profound silence descended upon the earth.
The harvest was complete. The judgment had been meted out. And in the aftermath of such terrible retribution, John could only marvel at the awesome power of God and the depths of his love. A love that both punishes the wicked and redeems the faithful. The world lay silent, the echoes of judgment fading into the quiet fabric of creation.
My heart, heavy with the weight of all I had witnessed, stood amidst the aftermath. The air, once thick with the stench of blood and fire, now held a peculiar stillness, a sense of completion that bordered on the sacred.
Above, the sky had cleared, the clouds parting to reveal a vast expanse of twilight hues. The setting sun, a fiery orb sinking beneath the horizon, cast long shadows across the land, painting the scene in shades of crimson and gold.
As I gazed upon the transformed landscape, a single word echoed in my heart: blessed. It was the voice of the Spirit, a gentle whisper that resonated with the divine truth I had just witnessed. Blessed were those who had remained faithful, who had endured the trials and tribulations of a world consumed by darkness.
They had chosen the path of righteousness, even when it meant facing persecution, even when it meant standing alone against a tide of evil. And now, in the aftermath of judgment, they would inherit the promises of God, a kingdom of eternal peace and boundless joy.
My spirit lifted by this heavenly benediction, I closed my eyes and offered a silent prayer of gratitude. The vision had been terrifying, a glimpse into the depths of human wickedness and the unyielding nature of God's wrath.
John stood at the precipice of a new age, the echoes of the apocalypse still ringing in his ears. The vision, though terrifying in its scope and intensity, had ultimately affirmed the enduring power of faith.
I had witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the seductive allure of false prophets, and the devastating consequences of rejecting God's love. Yet, through it all, the faithful had endured. They had clung to their beliefs, even in the face of persecution, their spirits unbroken, their hope unwavering.
John knew that the path ahead would not be easy. The forces of darkness would continue to tempt and deceive, seeking to lure the unwary from the path of righteousness. But he also knew that God's love would always be present, a beacon of light in the darkest of times.
The vision had served its purpose. It had revealed the truth of what was to come, the glorious triumph of good over evil, the ultimate victory of light over darkness. My task now was to share this truth with the world, to prepare the faithful for the trials ahead, to offer hope to those who had strayed from the path.
He would preach with a renewed sense of urgency, his words imbued with the weight of divine revelation. He would remind the people that their choices matter, that their actions have eternal consequences.
I would call them to repentance, to turn away from wickedness and embrace the love and mercy of their Creator. For me, the apocalypse was not an end, but a beginning, a catalyst for spiritual awakening, a call to unwavering faith in the face of unimaginable darkness.
As John the Revelator emerged from the depths of his apocalyptic vision, the weight of the experience pressed upon him like a physical burden. The desolate shores, the monstrous beasts, the harrowing pronouncements of the angels, these images were seared into his memory, an indelible tapestry of judgment and redemption.
Yet, amidst the smouldering ruins of the old world, I felt a glimmer of hope ignite within my soul, a flicker of understanding that transcended the horrors I had witnessed.
The vision, though terrifying in its scope, was not a testament to despair, but a call to action, a divine catalyst for change. It was a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable darkness, the light of God's love could never be extinguished.
The end, I realized, was not the finality I had once perceived it to be, but rather the birth pangs of a new beginning. The world had been cleansed by fire, purged of its wickedness and corruption. From the ashes of the old, a new world would emerge, one where righteousness reigned and the faithful would finally inherit the promises of God.
John, his spirit fortified by the vision, embraced his role as a herald of this new age. He would share the weight of his experience, the terrible beauty of the apocalypse, not to instill fear, but to ignite a fire of faith in the hearts of those who would listen.
My words, tempered by the fires of divine revelation, would serve as a beacon of hope, guiding the lost and comforting the weary. I would preach of repentance, of turning away from the allure of darkness and embracing the boundless love of our Creator.
For John knew that the true victory lay not in the might of armies or the machinations of men, but in the unwavering faith of those who chose to walk in the light.
The apocalypse, I now understood, was not an ending, but a transformation, a crucible from which a new world would be born. It was a call to action, an invitation to join in the grand tapestry of redemption, to become vessels of God's love and instruments of His divine purpose.
And as John the Revelator emerged from the wilderness, his spirit ablaze with newfound resolve, he carried this message of hope to a world teetering on the brink of a glorious new dawn. The end, he knew, was just the beginning.